friends, how's it going? It's Ultimus, and today we're going to be taking a look at Fu Zan. Fu Zan? I don't know. Fu Zan. The Wanderer's Companion, which is the Brewmaster Artifact Weapon. Part of the reason we are doing this is both twofold. Partly, number one, that was the most poorly constructed sentence I think I've ever dropped on this channel. Is for a while during Warlords of Draenor, Brewmaster monks were actually fairly relevant or had a weird appearance in PvP. BGs and 2v2 arenas specifically, especially with Death Knights. It was actually a little bit scary. And then partly as well because there are no other artifact weapons that are completely done and flushed out for us to look at, and I really do want to avoid doing the artifact weapons that have missing talents, like stuff that's like altogether missing, where it's like there's nothing here, wait and find out. So I'm holding off on those. Those do include the Fire Mage, the Frost Mage tree, the Guardian Druid tree, and I think there's one or two more that I can't remember off the top of my head. So that leaves us with Brewmaster monks, and that's not to say that I am not interested in this at all. Really, I'm actually quite interested in every spec and class that they're addressing with the artifact weapons because they bring so much to the table as far as core gameplay for Legion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we got here for Brewmaster monks. So let's take a first look here at the equip effect, which states when you are struck, Fu Zan will lash out and strike your opponent. So that's not even a chance, that's just like when you're struck. So every time you take a hit, it's going to lash out and strike the opponent, which in and of itself is pretty cool. I actually want to see, this is the one with the like beer keg or whatever on the end of it, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So this is like the weapon with, yeah, okay, I want to make sure I was on like the right page and I was thinking of the right thing. Alright, so that's cool. So whatever legendary or artifact properties this thing has, it is a fancy special weapon, and of course, since it is a Brewmaster weapon, it's got to have something to do with beer on the tip of the staff. So it looks pretty cool. That being said, so again, whenever you're struck, this isn't a chance, this isn't a random effect, this is whenever you're struck. So I would imagine this obviously wouldn't proc during parries or dodges, but every time you take damage, this makes it sound like the weapon will strike out. Now, whether or not that makes it into live, we'll find out. They might nerf it a little bit to where it's whenever you're struck, you have a chance, and they might just have it as a really high percentage, but we'll see. Either way, sounds pretty cool, especially if the animation on it's cool. If there's no animation, then it's whatever, and it's really not going to make much of a difference at all, except for on the DPS meters and for threat. But if the animation is cool, that could get really cool. But at the same time, if this is going to strike out every time you're hit, that animation could get really old really quick. So we'll see what happens when we actually get to see this in the Legion beta or on live. The Wanderer's Special, it's an instant with a 1.25 minute cooldown. Drink deep from Fu Zan's special brew, granting you the power of Flaming Breath, Fortitude, or Elusiveness. Interesting. So you're going to have one of three effects there on that. Aren't Brewmaster monks right now already fairly RNG? Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that can happen with them on certain procs. Like, am I wrong on that one? That's my impression of Brewmaster monks. They're very lackadaisical, kind of goofy, and so the RNG elements kind of play well into that. I know Stagger is a very unique aspect and mechanic to Brewmasters, but I'm curious. So this could be rather well fitting if they are a very heavy RNG class, especially if either of those are actually really good. It's gonna suck if like one of these like abilities that you have a chance of getting is just really terrible, and you're like, well, I'm dead, or well, there goes my whole rotation because Flaming Breath, let's just use that example, really sucks compared to Fortitude and Elusiveness. So I don't know. Smashed, increase the range of Cake Smash by 5 yards. It's kind of cool. I'm using 10, 15, kind of cool. Adjunct Advantage increases the damage of Breath of Fire by 5%, 10%, 15%. Obsidian Fist increases the critical strike chance of Blackout Strike. Here we go, by 5, 10, 15%. Staggering Around increases the stagger granted by Fortifying Brew by 2%, 4%, 6%. Now, Stagger is that effect. If you play a Brewmaster Monk, you're already familiar with it, but if you're unfamiliar with it, Stagger is the effect that you get every time you, I believe, it's either when you take damage or when you dodge, but then it like slowly deals the damage you would have taken from that effect over time. And so it's what basically puts a dot on yourself, so it helps keep Brewmasters alive a little bit longer, but they are going to take the damage irregardless over the course of the fight still, so healers can't just like neglect them altogether. So it just makes for a very interesting mechanic when it comes to tanking, as opposed to warriors that are very block, parry heavy, and all that stuff. DKs, absorb. Like every tank class has its own unique way to dissipate and mitigate damage, and this is the Brewmaster Monk's way. Potent Kick increases the duration of Iron Skin Brew by 0.5 seconds. 1 second, 1.5, 1.5, cool. So defensive cooldown increase there. Gifted Student increases the healing granted by gift of the Ox Orbs by 3, 6, 10%. Interesting that the orbs are switching over. Is this been this way in Warlords of Draenor? I don't know if I've been paying that close attention to Brewmaster Monks. I know in MoP it was always the Mistweavers that had the orbs that would drop around and would heal people, and they got a little overpowered, so Blizzard removed them. But is that something they moved over to Brewmaster then? Interesting. Curious about that one. Or at least it's specific to Gift of the Ox. I'm not entirely sure how that works out. But either way, it's one of the ways that Brewmaster Monks are able to self-heal and sustain themselves during fights. Every tank class has a self-heal of some form or another, and so this is one of the ways that Brewmaster Monks are able to sustain themselves, and this is just a healing increase to that. Swift as the coursing river. Well done, Blizzard. Well done. In case you are unaware, that is a Mulan reference. You can... Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Swift as the coursing river is drinking a brew increases your movement speed by 10% for 10 seconds. This effect stacks up to 5 times. Oh wow. So it's any brew, you drink it, you're getting that 10% movement speed for 10 seconds, and so it's going to stack up to 5 times. So that's potentially a 50% movement speed increase, which isn't bad. Dark Side of the Moon. These are all like Mulan references. All these titles. Okay, not all of them, but still. Dark Side of the Moon. You take 5% less damage from the next attack after your blackout strike. Kind of cool, though. Sorry, that confused me because these had the same icons, and I was like, wait, didn't we look at that one already? But I'm glad we looked at it, because the rest we would have completely skipped over it. Healthy Appetite increases the maximum health by 5%, 10%, 15%. Makes sense for a tank class. Overflow. Anytime a gift of the Ox is generated, it has a chance to be a greater gift of the Ox that heals for twice as much. Oh, that's kind of cool. So your gift of the Ox healing orbs, not only are they going to heal for 10% more, but they're also going to have a chance to be double that, heal for twice as much. I wonder if they'll actually show up as bigger on the battlefield too, which is kind of cool. It'd be nice if there was that visual effect to identify which was which. Facepalm. They're really going all out with these whimsical titles on this one. This might be the most entertaining artifact tree yet, just with the names of these talents. Tiger Palm has a 15% chance to reduce the cooldown of your brews by 1 second. That's kind of cool. So whenever you use a Tiger's Palm, 30% there. 45%. That's kind of cool. Since brews are such an important aspect to Brewmaster gameplay, having that potential cooldown reset on them is pretty spiffy as well. It's like as an arms warrior having abilities that will have a chance to reset the cooldown on Colossus Smash, since Colossus Smash is such an important ability to your damage output as an arms warrior. So pretty cool that we're seeing that there. Obstinate Determination. When you consume a brew, you gain 15% dodge for 2.5 seconds. That's kind of cool. So definitely all about that evasion and that mitigation between the Stagger. Not necessarily taking huge hits, unless you've got like priest absorbs on you, all that kind of stuff like that. But really the tanking class that is going to rely on the dodging and separating and dissipating that damage out over the course of time rather than just taking it all at once. Kind of cool to see that they're still maintaining that tanking style with Brewmaster Monks. It definitely adds for a fun and I think a little bit more challenging to master tanking style, at least from my observation, comparing it to Prot Paladin tanking, Prot Warrior tanking, and Guardian Druid tanking, and as well as Blood Death Knight tanking. Most of my experience in tanking comes from leveling through dungeons as a warrior, and then I tried a little bit of the raiding scene on my Prot Paladin in Cataclysm, and it was fun. I was just not very good at it. It was just not a play style that I was down for. So just again, my impression of Brewmaster Monks is still very whimsical, very kind of all over the place, kind of crazy, a little bit zany, but a little bit higher of a skill cap compared to the other tanks. And though I can imagine it's not going to be your go-to tank spec for all fights as well, which is something I think is kind of cool. It's like you want certain tanks for certain fights, but every tank can do the fights, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense at all. Let's look at some of our bigger abilities here. Fortification. When you activate Fortifying Brew, elusive brawler stacks are not consumed by dodges for the next 21 seconds. That's kind of cool. Brew Stash. Ha. When you consume a brew, you gain 15% dodge for 2.5 seconds. Oh, wow. So is that... One of these has to be wrong. Curious which one it is, because that's the exact same talent. Like literally word for word. When you consume a brew, you gain 15% dodge for 2.5 seconds. When you consume a brew, you gain 15% dodge for 2.5 seconds. Interesting. So I'll be curious to see which one of these is incorrect. I am sorry about that, guys. I thought this talent tree was a little more put together than that. Please do forgive me. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the video for too many of you. Dragonfire Brew we'll take a look at. Casting Breath of Fire surrounds you with flame for 8 seconds. Dealing 9,999 fire damage every 5 seconds and reducing damage dealt to you by up to 8%. There's something about that classic RPG 9,999 that I'm just digging. Like, that's like old school Final Fantasy big numbers you're looking for. Like, that just looks cool to me. I don't know why. Probably just my old school mind working on that one. But overall, definitely intriguing. Not so much enough to make me say, sweet, I'm rolling a Brewmaster and I'm going to start PvEing. But again, I'm always just curious about how this stuff is going to work out in PvP. Because every class is going to have a PvP tree. Every class is going to have to be balanced for PvP. And so I'm always curious how this stuff is going to work out. For the longest time, it's been Warriors and Guardian Druids that are just top choice, top tier for RPGs when it comes to flag carrying. And it would be cool to see Blood Death Knights or, Brewmaster Monks get a little bit of time to shine in RPGs, or at least be an option or a choice. Especially because I know Brewmaster Monks can still be pretty mobile. And it would be nice to see them get a little bit more play in there. As long as they're not obviously so overpowered that they're just a pain in the butt to kill. But with the way Blizzard is handling PvP, being able to hot fix, and adjust stats and numbers on the fly basically every patch day, not just waiting for, every Tuesday on maintenance rather than waiting for a patch day. That's how I should have said that in the first place. Definitely adds a lot more potential to the PvP scene. And we've talked about that a little bit before. But it'd be cool if because of that, the end result is more classes and specs, seeing more playtime in PvP. Obviously, to this, I don't think Brewmaster Monks are going to be the first thing people think of when they think, I want a PvP. But it would be really cool if someone who happens to play a Brewmaster is maybe not raiding for the night because they're not raiding. They raid on, Wednesdays and Fridays as a guild. And the every other night of the week, he's chilling. He doesn't really have too much stuff to do. He's got all the stuff prepped for raid, and he's got some time to kill. So he's like, hey, I want to push some raiding in RBGs. But I play a Brewmaster Monk, and it's my favorite spec to play. I really don't want to play a Mistweaver. So can I PvP with it? It'd be cool if we got to a place in Legion where because he wants to play, or she, I should say, because he or she wants to play a Brewmaster Monk in RBGs, they should be able to. And it would be cool if we got to that point. And so Looking at this artifact tree, I don't know if that's enough to say for sure, like Brewmaster Monk's next meta when it comes to, you know, RBGs and flag carriers. But I think there is potential for sure, especially if they keep the mobility and if they are able to juggle all this stuff, and the numbers on all these work out well, especially between the spheres, the movement speed increase, the Dragon's Fire Brew, all these things. I think there's good potential here for sure. And of course, we'll have to wait and see what they look like in PvE. But I'll leave that up to you guys who play PvE a little bit more than I do. Literally, about all the PvE I do nowadays is did challenge modes, and I'll do the time walking events because it's fun to use my Warglaives on my warrior, and I want that mount. That's about it. Unless I can get a group that wants to carry me through Hellfire Citadel and Blackrock Foundry because I want transmogs because I'm a gear whore. Just when it comes down to it, I can't help it. But anyways, all that to say, definitely looks like there should be some potential here for Brewmaster Monks. Glad to see they haven't messed with the play style a whole lot, and that they're still keeping the whimsical, staggering style of tank intact for sure. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are still shooting for 500 subs come summertime. To the new subscribers that have stopped by and hit that sub button, I do want to say thank you very much. It means the world to me. And for those of you who are sticking around and still watching videos, I want to say thank you to you as well. Your continued support by watching videos, hitting likes, sharing, commenting, all of that on any of the videos we do. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that. And I thank you for your support. If you haven't done so already as well, don't forget to follow me on the few social media sites we have labeled and plastered all throughout the page here. You can find links in the description below to my Facebook and my Twitter. Facebook page is specifically for this channel where I post links to the videos every day that I post, as well as respond to any comments, questions, or suggestions I might get from you guys. Twitter as well, another great place for you guys to get in contact with me and me to contact you, all that good stuff. And then you can also find my Instagram page up top where I post just about every day, everything ranging from food to my dog and fitness and anything else that I find interesting. So follow at your own discretion there on that one. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. So I'll catch you next time.